Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for the semi-finals of the Cape Town Sevens. This one, New Zealand versus France for the women's side of the draw. Now, it is actually very similar for the ladies' side compared to what we saw last week in Dubai. Just a one change. USA in there rather than Fiji. In the US, they're going to be playing up against Australia just around the corner. But this first semi-final, New Zealand versus France, can be sometimes a competitive match, although this Black Ferns side have been able to find some decent rhythm. We'll have to wait and see if they can make it back-to-back after winning. In Dubai, looking through the starting lineup, it is Georgia Miller, Stacey Waka, Kelsey Tanetti, Risi Poldi-Lane, who is also the captain for this New Zealand side, Maya Davis, Teresa Setefano, and Jasmine Felix Hotham, the last woman. And in the starting side, they are just talking to Tim Walsh on the sidelines at the moment. He is, of course, going to be watching his side in action. The Aussies just around the corner. They go head-to-head with the US, and the winner, of course, will face the winner of this semi-final. Looking through the starting lineup for the French, there is Lou No in there, also Trollier, Lethos, Dezo, Christians, Sevi, and also Kaliabi, last lady, in the starting team. But I also want to know your predictions for this game. It is the first of two semi-finals, and then, of course, straight after these two, we have got the two men's semi-finals happening between South Africa and France. So the men's are actually on the both sides. And I want to say that they are actually, no, I'm not missing something. France are the only team to have a men and women's side in the semi-finals of this Cape Town's competition. Hello, Hamish, it's hot here in Cape Town, says Ruth, and 3212 is the prediction there from Novmum. And also, hello, Hamish, says please and teas. Welcome and hope you're doing extremely well. And to the Black Ferns, says Jasmine, yeah, the last 5 times that these two sides have played, they have managed to win all 5 of them New Zealand, although the most recent up against the French just last week was actually the closest game that we have seen between those two sides of their last 5. How's the win, Ruth, says please and teas. Does seem like there's still a little bit of it. And Cape Town, one moment, I'm about to sneeze, so I will very quickly mute before this match gets underway. We are good and ready to go. New Zealand by 15, says Philip. It could happen. Although I do want to say that seeing as they did well last week in Dubai, the French, I hope it's kind of close in this matchup. It would be great to see a couple competitive semi-finals on the women's side of the draw at the moment. Seen some pretty one-sided ones. We did see Fiji get as close as anyone did in the group stage up against New Zealand. 31-19 victory for the Black Ferns in that matchup. And then for the French ladies so far, in their previous matches, they were able to beat Canada 31-12, beat Japan 29-19, and then they did lose to Australia 41-0. That's the big concerning one for the French. But as we have seen for the men's side as well, that consistency hasn't quite been there at times. But this is one of those matches that you have to be at 150% from the very first whistle as we now get underway. New Zealand kicking off long and into the hands down the short side for Dezo. And I Harris Black Ferns by 1 or more, thanks. Says Studs raised there. Yeah, a lot of people already booking that Australia versus New Zealand final. That's a good attack and run forward from Deju. Now trying to shuffle to the short side. Sneak her way through. Jasmine Felix Hotham, though, making that tackle. This is where France really need a lot of early possession. New Zealand almost getting themselves caught offside. And in fact, there is going to be the offside advantage now in favour of the French. The French not going down without a fight, says Ruth there. Now retreating at the moment, not quite getting those metres that they would have been after for Christian, so they do go straight back to where that penalty did take place. I need under 42.5. Okay, so theoretically, you need France not to score many points because the Black Ferns have consistently getting around 28, somewhere around there, so pretty much if France don't score themselves 3 tries, you should be all right. France are the only team ever to defeat New Zealand at this venue, and that was back in 2024, so they've been there, done that for this French team, although the last 5 meetings have all gone in favour of the Kiwis. Going to be the scrum feed. Oh yeah, I'm a Kiwi lad. Up the girls, says James. Now this one fed in by Sevi. Now going off to the left-hand side. Looping around, nice, decent play. RB gets it with the wide cutout pass on the outside. Going now, Christians goes through. And France will score the first try of this contest 100 seconds in. And they have already got more points on the board than some were giving them credit for in this whole contest. What's your score? I'm going about I'm going about 1926 in this game, but that is going to be the try, wearing down the clock a little bit more for France as well, but a great start to this contest for the French as they now lead 7-0. Shame about the boys though, says Scott. I mean, it is, but at the same time, you know, when you're in a group with Fiji and South Africa, there's always going to be one of those three top sides that miss out. In this case, it's been New Zealand. You could play the group again, and you could see New Zealand top it. It's just one of those things in sevens. It can change so drastically. And I think for the Kiwis, they'll be happy enough with the fact that they didn't get beaten badly in either of those matches. Well, actually, no, to Fiji, they got beaten very badly. My apologies. Up against South Africa, it was competitive. But yes, how much they charge us to watch rugby in Australia. And it's actually getting worse in New Zealand as well. Recently, the Champions Cup Rugby, they've added another subscription service for that, which does mean, oh, nice bounce of the ball there for the French. But yeah, it's an extra 130 New Zealand dollars for the season of the Champions Cup added to the bill, unfortunately. Oh, that was close to a forward pass there. And they have found it, so they will go back for the penalty in favour of the Black Ferns. That's terrible, sorry to hear, says James. Yeah, it's one of those ones that, like, we're obviously going to end up paying it because it is the rugby and we do cover it on the channel. But yeah, we've got about 4 or 5 different subscriptions now, all for different rugby around the world. And people are writing off France too much. They could win. They can either play an extremely brilliant game of rugby sevens, or they can have a terrible showing. And I do hope that, seeing as it's the semi-final, it's got to be a decent one. Guess what I found on my walk this evening? Geez, that could be absolutely anything, Novma. So hopefully it's something good, and rather than bad. You've got a smiley face, so I'd like to think it's something slightly good. Hello from Cape Town, says Inferno. And there's one now going off to the left-hand side. Big wide cut-out pass for the Kiwis inside of their own 22. Jasmine Felix Hotham. Is South Africa no better? Says Please and Tees. Now step there from Georgia Miller. Managed to shut her down early. Would be awesome if they played a brilliant game of rugby league with 7 players. Says Big Rick. I think they used to do the 9s, didn't they? In the rugby league side of things. And let's go Wahine, says Kiwi there. And currently only 2 metres out from their own line here. New Zealand. Top of the ball on the inside, finding Taniti. It just seems like a slow, methodical build at the moment for the Black Ferns Sevens. Now passing across to Georgia Miller. This is where the danger comes, as the open space is there for New Zealand. A run for ball on the inside. And this should now be the try for Stacey Waka. They won't be able to catch her, and that's going to make the score back to 7-all between these two sides. Do you have to break in more cricket bats? I still have one that I've got to break in. But that's a great try for Stacey Waka there. Making the score now 7-all between these two sides. 1 in Cape Town for Stacey Waka. Hasn't actually scored throughout those opening contests for the Kiwis. And try, says Phillip. And there as well. But yeah, just flicked on the inside from Georgia Miller. They know the threat of Miller, which meant that they had 2 French ladies drifting across following her. They left the inside ball for Stacey Waka to run on. And the All Blacks will win, says Herhard. And there as well. That's making the score at 7-all. We did see most recently New Zealand versus Australia. We had no missed kicks throughout that one. Please remember the scoreboard is Google's one, which is the Lazy's Inferno. That partnership, Waka Miller, fairly deadly. Says Thuds raised there. I think Kiwis blow them out in the second half, says James. It could certainly happen. Oh, nicely taken. Under the high ball there for the French. That was almost a tip tackle from New Zealand. Have to be very careful not to get any sort of cards throughout this contest. Definitely not a red, or else you could have them missing for the final. And off the feet there from New Zealand, trying to get the steal was Poldy Lane. She's told to get out of it by the referee. Now Tullier going back across. Another advantage in favour of the French. Oh, they were about to go through. But there must have been something that happened, as France were looking like they were going to run through and score there. So you'd assume that maybe there was a forward pass or something like that to stop their play, because they were gone in that case, France. Who's your favourite Black Fern? Out of the ones on the field at the moment, I mean, Stacey Waka's always been someone who really steps up for the Kiwis in these important moments. Probably most experienced out there on the field as well. And then I don't mind Teresa Setafano in terms of that impact that she's normally able to bring off the bench for the Black Ferns. Getting to start in this contest though. We have there well, says James. And France gets lots of possession, says Studs Race. And there as well. Another step coming in. Well, still in the hands of the French 7-all at this stage after the 7 minutes almost gone through the gap again. Georgia Miller looking for the steal on the breakdown. Can't get in there though, as France protect that ball very nicely. Now, the last thing that the French want is to lose the ball now. Oh, okay, they've kicked it out, so that won't lose them the ball. That is going to be half-time in this contest, setting 7 points to 7 in this women's semi-final. Defending, says Ruth. And also favourite All Black. I mean, I normally go Artie Savia. And I think I'll stick with that for now. I feel like he's a pretty decent choice overall. And half-time already, yeah, this half has absolutely flown by between these two sides at the moment. The score is sitting 7 points each. With just these 7 minutes remaining. Whoever wins this game, they will go on to face the winner of Australia versus USA. That game is happening just around the corner, but at about 11:10 New Zealand time. So that is in, I believe that would be 25 minutes time. We are going to be starting our next live stream, which is taking place between France and South Africa. And that is the semi-final for the men's side of things. And then straight after that game, it is Argentina versus Fiji. Not the score I was expecting, says Philip. Yeah, it's a very hard one to judge. Like I mentioned, this French women's side either go 1,000 miles an hour and do very well in their games, or they make mistakes. But so far, they haven't made a huge amount of them throughout this matchup. There's a joke referee. Says, Kiwi Rob, hello, mate. We didn't realise that your first message of the day was going to be complaining. No one would have backed that. We have got there, Artie is an old Rangatai boy, just like me, or Rangatai, or Rongo Thai boys, I should say. Stacey Waka, such a legend in the sevens. And WXV's a long service. Do Fiji pump the Argies tonight? I don't know. I think that it might actually be back and forth because Argentina will be annoyed that they lost to Spain in their very last fixture. Fiji are coming into that game with a lot of momentum. They were able to beat New Zealand 35-5 in that contest. So you could argue that is... like, momentum's firmly with Fiji, but that doesn't mean that Argentina won't put up a decent showing, mainly because they've gone from 8th to a really good chance of picking up some decent points. But the second half gets underway, nicely taken by Risi Poldy Lane. Sitting about 35 metres out from their own line here, the Black Ferns Sevens. Now Jasmine Felix Hotham cutting inwards, and they may not be able to catch her. No, they won't. She will run it in for the first try. Fiji are a good team though, Hamish. I never said they weren't, and I did actually say that they would win in my preview, but that one has gone over, or at least it will go over for the Kiwis, but that is the try scored now by the Black Ferns, straight out in front of the post, making the score 14 points to 7, and try, says Ruth, and there as well, but great pace shown by Jasmine Felix Hotham, just piercing through, and Felix Hotham looked like Michaela Brake there, says Studs Race. Now 6 minutes remaining, and that is exactly the start. We have there. Welcome back. Hope you've got your nails all spray. Says Environ Plumbing in there as well. Yeah, the hay fever hit me hard today earlier on. Hopefully it's not too bad tomorrow morning. And hi Philip. Bruce says hi back. He's busy rebooting his tablet. Says Annie. This one's kicked off by New Zealand with the 7-point lead. Nicely taken by, I believe that was Low. Now we've hardly, or Noel I should say, we've hardly seen it with the ball in hand throughout this game, but the French with the ball again inside of their own 22, rush to feeds from Georgia Miller, shuts it down initially for the French attack. Back across to the right-hand side. Now running it sideways. Thought about going for the offload there. They're only 5 metres out from their own try line at this point in time. Now going off to the right-hand side again, now moving it. And this is where a bit of space opens up. It looks like it is going to be a foot race. Tanetti's trying to get back covering and just trying to stall a little bit longer. And it's just a jogging foot race. Not a lot of pace on it. Loose ball thrown. Picked up by France. They are 35 metres out from the line. That will be a clear penalty to all. Should have been the clear penalty to France. No rolling away from New Zealand there in the breakdown, stopping the clean-out opportunity. But Tanetti wins the penalty for her pretty much just that tracking that she was able to have. Saracen McGee just about to make her way onto the bill. Stacey Waka is definitely a legend of the season sevens. She should be a winger, and Braxton should be on the other wing. Sounds like France keeping up. They were, and probably pretty unlucky to not get themselves the penalty in this breakdown. We're going to see here. So Teresa Stefano makes the tackle, and there's just no option of cleaning out for France there. They asked for the penalty. Nowhere to be able to get that one. It did look like Teresa Stefano not even attempting to roll away, but she has now been taken off the field by the Kiwis. And we have got the New Zealand and Hamish. And finally, the referee knows how to blow a holding on, says Kiwi roll, though in that case, probably the wrong one to blow, as, like I mentioned, no rolling away from Teresa Stefano, but New Zealand will well and truly take it. In a semi-final like this, you have to really make the most of the opportunities you are given, and that is where the Black Ferns, if they are able to score now, it may be the chance that they need to be able to secure this victory. Now going back across, Braxton Sorensen-McGee, running it forward from Jasmine Felix-Hotham. Now back across to the right-hand side. Now Braxton Sorensen-McGee, a double step, gives it off to Georgia Miller. Now middle of the park, how much time at the moment? There is still another 4 minutes remaining in this contest. Another step coming in from Saili. Was tackled low. Now Poldy Lane, back across to the right-hand side again here for New Zealand. Bit of a bouncing ball now. Braxton Sorensen-McGee, not quite able to go through. France can't hold the Kiwis back strong. Says Ruth. Now Felix Hotham. Another tackle, good offload up. Saili will run through, and it will be another try for New Zealand. It won't quite secure this game, but it gets them a lot closer to it now. For the Black Ferns, moving up to 19 points to 7. Braxton isn't a sevens player, says Kiwi Rob. And go New Zealand, says Hurd in there. And beautiful, says James. In there as well. And try, says Philip. Well, that one's going to be popped up. Saili taking it nicely. And does manage to score that try. Now with the conversion, misses away to the side. So it's opened up the door for France. If they can score 2 converted tries throughout the last 3 minutes, they will go on to win this match. France will get 2 tries from here, says Big Rig. Yeah, they would need a miracle in this scenario. And they also just need all the possession throughout this one. Now Braxton Sorensen-McGee kicking this one off. Nicely taken. Now Neeson. She has made her way off of the bench for the French. Now ball on the inside again. They just are a little bit stagnant at the moment. The French, Poldy Lane, making the tackle there again. Now going to the short side. Struggling to find a gap, although almost through. Needs the offload, can't find it. It could have been a very good running away opportunity for the French. A penalty does go the way of France, this time for not rolling away against Georgia Miller. This one slows down the game that little bit more, so I don't think New Zealand will mind this too much. Getting some deep breaths. There's going to be some subs being made, but 2 minutes remaining on the clock now. See the tackle made there from Miller. Just ends up getting stuck underneath that breakdown. How can says Kiwi Roll. I think you might have hit the enter button a little bit too early. We have got there a go, says Iron Line, and also it's going to get a bit boring after a while. Now that they've cut the number of teams down, says Scott. Yeah, there will be a lot of repeat matches. Like New Zealand versus Australia seems like a final that you can almost book in before the tournament gets underway for the women at the moment. Although this has been a very decent effort from the French, probably better than a lot of people did give them credit for. And there's still time, 100 seconds on the clock, and at the moment running straight sideways. We have got there, they got this, says James. And we have got there Bulavanaka Hamish from Cool Melbourne, says Akhtar. Currently 19 points to 7 with just the 12 separating these two sides. 30 seconds remaining before we get to the last final moment or final minute of this competition. Currently they are inside of their own 22 here. Oh, big driving tackle made by Braxton Sorensen-McGee. How could she roll away when the player was on top of her? Says Kiwi Rob. Well, you still got to make an effort. And in that case, Georgia Miller, they mentioned how her arm was strapped, so she wasn't going to be too keen to roll out of there, or else she might have snapped her own forearm. So sometimes you just got to accept that penalty, know that you're in the wrong place and that you didn't quite get that body in the right position. That is a much better tackle made by Miller. The ball's going to be available again for the French. To be fair, Canada versus England was 100% going to be the final of the Women's World Cup 2025. Says Big Rig, back up to the feet here for France. Looking for another offload, bit risky. Ball's going to be available, but it's called as a forward pass from the French, and that should be the moment that secures New Zealand the game. They can use up 30 seconds from the scrum, and that should just about close out the rest of the time on the clock. It does seem like France aren't used to going for those offloads, or at least those ones right next to the breakdowns. And imagine you reach the pearly gates, and they say penalty, not rolling away. Says Big Rig. And also, we have got their win last did the Kiwis lose, says Katzenel. In the last group stage in Dubai, they lost to the USA. So about 5 or 6 matches ago, I believe it was. Tackles, 25 made by New Zealand, only missing the 3 with an 89% tackle completion. That has been one of the big differences in terms of the level of this Black Ferns team. Awesome New Zealand, says Iron Lion. And they're two now going off to the short side. Braxton, Sorensen, McGee looking to get one last try in this contest for the Black Ferns. Currently 5 seconds remaining on the clock. They cannot lose the game from here. They can still pick up injuries though, New Zealand, so they will have to be a little bit cautious. It's a knock-on from Miller, so that will close out the game anyway. And that is going to be the full-time score now, 19 points to 14 in favour of New Zealand. So they will book themselves through to the semi-finals, to the finals of the Cape Town Sevens. They will face the winner of Australia versus USA, which is happening just around the corner. But what we are going to be doing, ladies and gents, is we are back in 15 minutes' time, and that is going to be for the contest between South Africa and also France. We've got a relatively long build-up for that match, as we are going to be describing not just that one, but the other semi-final also taking place between Fiji and the Argentines. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all for the next one.